how much resistance were you on a daily basis meeting from the hip hop guard that saw you guys as weirdos?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I think, ironically, we weren't getting, like, from a in my own body experience, we weren't getting a lot of people doubting the hip hop origin of who we were.
Mm-hmm.
Being in my own body, we were getting a lot of pushback from gangsta hip hop at the time. I mentioned Ice Cube on People Every Day, and Airly Tariq from our group says, "Who?" after I say his name. So there's like a, now I meant for it to be a slight in a sense, right? Because I'm trying to compare how I'm going to handle this situation compared to how Ice Cube.
Ice Cube
had to stop the brother
exactly.
Brother out being rude. That's right.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Now I'm just hearing. Now I'm 1 second years old. I didn't realize the who.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a question. I just thought.
Yep. And we all knew who Ice Cube was. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But she was, but at the time,
He
I'll
took
be
that some
honest,
way?
he did, and so did therefore Snoop, and so did, you know, others who were on the West Coast that were more so repping gangster hip hop in a more direct way, right? So there was that sort of, and not to mention every show that I did, and I'm talking about for 20,000 people, or Arrested Development did, I'm saying, I would say that we're not calling black women bitches and hoes. We don't do that. Our peers do that. We don't do that. So I'm making a very clear statement about who we are, what we're doing, and why it's different than what this dude's doing. So those types of things came off as basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're
looking down, you know, you think you're better than
something in those realms, you know what I'm saying?
You were
like,
better.
So what
you
happens?
Were better. I'm just.
What happens the first time that you meet them?
He was better.
Cube did that signature growl look that he does. You know how he just, it's a cover of every magazine you've ever seen.
Right.
Cube graced the cover of.
Cube scowl.
He gave me that. Cube scowl 101. He gave me that scowl, right? And then Snoop gave me this sort of like cold thing at the Grammys, and it was that kind of energy. Ice-T at the time, me and him prior to us really blowing up were friends. But after we started to blow up, he distanced himself from me. So it's those kind of things that I felt, but it wasn't necessarily the whole R&B versus hip hop thing. It was more of the stance that we were taking. And I think
it's earthy, now, mind you, stance.
we're eating at this time. Like, we're wrapping up award shows. So this is scary.
Oh, you're also winning. Yes,
yeah. So this is like competition now. Like, okay, their stance is very juxtaposed to what we're doing, and they're winning. Like, this is not an underground sensation. This is something that's actually taking awards from them, like the Chronic and so on.
Does it become because of the yeah? I mean, you guys owned 92. Were you feeling as though the massive success of the group was that you were in danger of hindering the group?
Without a question. Like, for me as the leader of the group, I'm worried about that every day. Like, every day I'm worried about this transference of black heads and fans loving our music, and it started to transform into mainly white audiences now loving the music, mainly white critics, heralding the music. It was like, oh man, what does this mean? Like, because everything we're talking about is these black issues, but then the people that's starting to, come to all the shows is 100% different. Yeah. We did Lollapalooza, you know what I'm saying? We did these huge, which I love these festivals, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm with bands that I absolutely adore, Primus and Fishbone, and I love these bands. So I'm loving this experience, but it's a hard thing to sort of reckon, right? Because you're this,
to wrap your head
truthfully,
around it.
we're an underground hip hop group talking about black liberation, and yet we're doing these big rock tours, and we're doing things that I wouldn't take back to this day, but it was tough, right? To try to understand the trajectory.